You guys have been waiting for me to do this video for a while, and it's about none other than the Lenovo Legion Go. And this was, for the longest time of, ever since this was announced, this was my most anticipated handheld for this year. And we're going to talk about it more in this video of whether that's still true or if I've got some qualms about it. And for full disclosure, I was sent this for review by Lenovo. So huge shout out to them for hooking me up with sending me one of these. But they're not seeing this before you guys do. I'm putting this out, in my full opinion on this. And yeah, we're going to talk about the Lenovo Legion Go. And this is going to be my full review of using this for the last week I've had it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, first thing off the bat that I want to talk about when it comes to the Lenovo Legion Go is the size. I mean, you really can't ignore how big this thing is. I mean, this is a massive screen, and it's one of the most beautiful screens I've seen on a handheld gaming device. I mean, I already know, like, people are gonna first thing people are gonna say is like, oh, you got the OLED that's on the Nintendo Switch OLED, and you also got it on the new Steam Deck OLED. Look, I don't care about that. I just want to say that, like, for this looks absolutely stunning, especially when you put it against the original Steam Deck and you also put it against the ROG Ally. It's just an absolutely stunning device, and it just completely blows me away on that. Next thing I want to talk about is just how vibrant it is. Like, yeah, this right here, I mean, this is basically a 2K-ish screen. So with it being that, it gives you such like clarity and depth that you don't really get when you normally look at, a typical screen on a handheld gaming PC. I mean, barring the Steam Deck OLED. It's just so great. Like when I'm playing games or I'm looking at pictures or watching videos or stuff like that, everything it has like a level of clarity that's just chef's kiss. It is so good. And speaking of that, with this being a 2K screen, that's the other thing. So I think that is a very interesting decision that they went with putting a 2K screen on this, because barring certain games, you're really not going to be playing games at a 2K resolution. I mean, you can, especially if you use an external GPU, or if really drop your settings to the lowest and then you basically running at 2K. I mean, personally, I, I don't think a device this size needs a 2K resolution screen. I think 1920 by 1080 would have been perfectly fine, or full HD. But yeah, I understand that they did that because they wanted this to be completely different than everything else on the market. And that's really to say a lot about the Lenovo Legion Go, is that a lot of about this device is to be completely different that's on the market. It basically takes a bit from every other device that's out there. I mean, we've got clearly inspiration from the Nintendo Switch OLED with the kickstand being the way it is, and with the removable Joy-Cons, or controllers rather. It is it's a very interesting design decision that they went with when they decided to make this device. And I ultimately, like, a lot of it I do love. So when it comes to the screen, it's been a subject of a lot of people being upset with it, just because it's not certain games we're going to have like black bars and just weird aspect ratios, because it's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio instead of a 16 by 9. And while I don't have a personal issue with it, and I think 99% of people who get it probably are not going to have an issue with it, there are certain, content creators and influencers out there that do have an issue with this device's screen aspect ratio. But it is what it is, right? I just personally think that Lenovo should not have gone with a 2K resolution for their screen. I think it's overkill. You're going to burn through your battery a lot quicker. I do have concerns about burn in because of it being a 2K resolution. But I will say this when it comes to general battery life, and I'm going to be jumping all over the place here, so bear with me. When it comes to general battery life, and I will circle back with talking more in depth about that, but as it is, from having a 2K screen and gaming on it, I'd have to say the battery life on the Lenovo Legion Go is substantially better than what I've experienced on the ROG Ally, and that's not even a lie. The ROG Ally, I love that device. I know a lot of people have had a lot of qualms about it and said it's a failed product and all this other stuff. And granted, you know, the SD card reader issue and then all the OS issues and all the other stuff that went on with it. Fair point. Like when it came to like playing games on ROG Ally, I would typically, if I'm not near a connector, I could probably get anywhere from like, you know, 45 minutes, maybe an hour tops. And depending on the TDP settings, I would, you know, be able to take her around and get maybe a little bit more out of it. But with this one, I'm able to get roughly on, you know, regardless of what I'm playing. And, you know, I don't play anything too crazy. My settings are typically set to low or medium. I'm typically able to get like an hour and a half, you know, and this is at me running it on the performance mode. But if I put it in balanced or if I go power saver, I can probably get a lot more battery life. But I don't really play anything too crazy. Most of the stuff that I have tried out on it is just literally me trying it out. There are games that I'm going to fully be just giving my 100% attention to. Like, yeah, I'm gonna try out Cyberpunk. I'm gonna try out, you know, was it Doom and all this other stuff. But like either I've already played it and beat it, or I just, you know, it's just B-roll footage I need to have for this video. So that being said, like the battery life has been pretty decent for me. I mean, it is a bigger battery life. It's a 50 watt hour battery. And yeah, I can't really complain about the battery performance as a whole on it. Plus all the different TDP settings are phenomenal. The other thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about the removable joy. Let's just call it removable Joy Cons, right? Um, Before I remove them, just saying like just use them like this, holding the Legion like this. I know this is a big beefy boy. This is one of the most comfortable handhelds that I've used. The most comfortable, you know, portable PC handhelds. The Steam Deck was very comfortable to me. ROG Ally was slightly less comfortable, but I had to say like it was a comfortable device overall. But this, one of the concerns I did have was with it being the size that it is, that it was going to be uncomfortable, especially due to the weight of it. But I've had no issues. You know, I played it, you know, laying down on my bed. I've also played it sitting down, you know, played it in desktop mode. There's so many different ways I've been able to play this. And I've had absolutely like no issue with it whatsoever. This is really, really ergonomically like it feels so good in my hands. I don't have like small hands. I have pretty big side hands. But it feels really good. And then the fact that, you know, again, then taking from the Nintendo Switch, pressing in this button here, and then, you know, like pressing down to pull off or pulling down, and then you've got your essentially Joy Cons, and the battery life on them is pretty decent too. You know, I haven't played with them portably for like more than like a stretch of maybe 2 hours, and they've lasted pretty fine for me. I, you know, I don't get really outside of like reviewing stuff. I don't have a lot of time to really devote to like sitting and playing games, or in particular games that I want to personally play. But what I have got to do with them, I thought they were fine. I didn't find any issue with the additional buttons, you know, the different additional macros like the M2, M1, M3, M4, and then the Y1, Y2. They didn't bother me at all. I know a lot of people have said that like they don't care for them or they accidentally press them. I've never really had that issue. And when I put this into the mode of using this for, you know, the FPS mode, I have personally not had any issues with it. I thought it was going to be kind of awkward because, you know, your palm is going to be touching the you know, the stick here, but I've actually found it to be quite comfortable. You know, it feels very ergonomic. Like a lot of what when we first saw this device, it looked like it was incredibly over designed, but they literally were able to compensate for everything that we wanted to have or probably would need in a handheld. Sorry, I'm fiddling with this as I'm trying to talk, but literally you line it up and you press it in and you press up. But trying to talk and multitask, you know, I'm doing too much at one time. Um, I've had absolutely no issues with it. And then the other thing too, I'm pulling it off again, the touchpad on it. The touchpad on this, and yes, I haven't removed the film because I don't this thing it collects a lot of fingerprints. I've kept the film on the trackpad and I found it to be completely fine. So I don't really have any issues with that whatsoever. I'll probably take it off down the road. But As it is, like everything with this, using an FPS mode, I thought was absolutely ingenious. Playing games like Doom and Outriders and so many other games like FPS games and even RTS games with that as a setup has been absolutely stunning. And no accidental presses. It took a little getting used to because for every button to work perfectly with this, you're also going to need to make sure that the software, Legion Space, is running it. We're going to get to that in a moment because I've got some qualms with that. I have a lot of issues with that one. But, when Legion Space is working fine, everything is cherry. When it's not, that's when you run into issues with FPS mode because you're going to have two buttons being M3 and M4 that are not going to work at all because they require the software to run. But aside from that, I think the Joy-Cons are great. Okay, let's talk about some of the downsides of the Joy-Cons. And I know they're not technically Joy-Cons, but everyone's calling them Joy-Cons. So I'm just going to continue with that trend. Uh, Things I don't like about it, right? I do not like the D-pad. The D-pad is absolutely awful. You guys know I love fighting games. I love platformers. I love 2D games as a whole. I love retro games. So having a D-pad that is probably the worst thing I have experienced in decades. I'm like, Lenovo, like, how did you fumble the ball with this D-pad? It is god awful. This is the worst D-pad I have used in decades. I would even put the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One and even the original Xbox, both Duke and small or slim, or whatever the revision was called. I would put those D-pads above that one. This is awful. I'm kind of wondering why they couldn't even just go and, I haven't used this controller in a while, so there's a little dust on it. Why couldn't they have done like a floating disc, kind of like the Razer Wolverine V2 Pro has, like, and put some micro switches in it? That would have made this the absolute goat of D-pads. The D-pad is awful. So like when I'm playing King of Fighters 15, or if I'm playing Street Fighter 6, or if I'm playing really any fighting game that requires precise inputs, I can't really reliably do so. And it's just made it annoying because the games that I always keep on my portable gaming PCs and my handhelds in general is fighting games above all else. And I have this thing of not wanting to keep that on the Lenovo Legion Go because the D-pad is just so awful. So I'm like, I'm taking up space for something I really don't want to play handheld on this device. However, connect to a TV, get my controller, and then we're good to go. So and that's how I justify that. The other thing I don't like about the Joy Cons is the placement of. Look, this is me being an old school gamer. We know as modern gamers, you know, they don't call it start and select anymore, but I'm an old school gamer. But Leo, start and select, right? I hate the placement. They're at the bottom left of the Legion Go, or at least the left D-pad. So let me go ahead and just show you guys. Your start and select is here. Start and select, right? Why? Why is that there? It is so unnatural to reach down. Okay. I kind of get why they put this here because you got the Lenovo space button and then you've got your TDP button on the other Joy-Con, right? So they don't want you, by putting those up top and then you start and select at the bottom, you're not going to accidentally press the Legion space button or the TDP button. But the problem is, and a lot of you are gonna you're really gonna see this, is that your muscle memory is completely thrown off by this because every controller out there, whether it be the Switch, whether it be PlayStation's DualSense, or be Xbox controllers, or even third-party controllers, start and select, and whatever variation you want to call it based on the platform, is always near your D-pad and your left analog stick and right analog stick. So it not being there throws me off completely because I have to like reach down and be like, oh, that's where it is. It's like it throws off my muscle memory. I absolutely cannot stand that it's there. But again, Legion Space button and the TDP button. I get it. I do get it. All right, before I go on over to Legion Space and the software, let me talk a little bit about the hardware, right? So you've got two USB-C ports on here. So you can do, your video out through the top one, of course, like you use a dongle, or if you've got a dock or, a external GPU, then you can utilize the top or even the bottom one. Pretty much they're kind of interchangeable. And I like that it has two USB ports, but I kind of wish it had a full size USB-A port. Doesn't have that, but hey, two type C's. We can use converters and get around that, right? Can't be mad about that. Um, it also has a micro SD card reader on the top left, similar to, within the same region, I would guess you could say, as the ROG Ally. I personally think that the micro SD card probably should have went down here in the bottom. Um, but that's just me personally. Somewhere down here where the kickstand is, I think that would have been a better place to put it, but they decided to go up here. um and that's fine. It's got really good ventilation on it, so like the fans kick in, the device gets cool. It never gets like burning hot unless you don't have the fans on. And it does get, well, okay, correction, it can get burning hot down here in the bottom left corner for some reason. So that's very interesting. But the intake vents and then the export, they work very well. In the TDP settings, you can turn on full fan. And when you do that, this thing cools down super quickly. I haven't had any issues with my micro SD cards like frying, kind of like they do on the ROG Ally. So that's something I'm very grateful for. But for all intents and purposes, right now, as it is, like, heat's not really an issue. The fans get loud. I'm talking audibly loud. Like, they're so loud that like when they kick in, everybody in the house is gonna hear 'em. They're very vocally loud. I know people said that. What did they say? The Steam Deck's fans got loud, the RG Ally, and neither one of them have anything on the Legion Go. Legion Go gets stupidly loud with this fan, so you turn on full fan speed. Or if you do like custom, fan curves and everything with custom TDP settings, you can make it get very loud. Other than that, though, I'm just gonna say that it's that's the design aesthetics of it. You also got your power button, your Lenovo button on the top, or power button. You also got your volume up and down, so that's cool, right? Only other thing I can think of outside of the hardware aesthetics, feels great. It feels very sturdy. Like, it doesn't feel in any way like cheap whatsoever. I will say that now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about software, right? Windows 11 device. The thing about the ROG Ally has its own it's got its own, it's got the ROG software, right? Which a lot of people crapped on, but I'm like, after using Legion Space, you're not gonna crap on the ROG software, because at least with that, when you press that button, it comes up and it actually functions. Legion Space is quite interesting because my honest opinion on it is, while I can see why they put that there, it seems more like it's a storefront than anything else, because it constantly shows you the deals from Games Planet, and it makes me wonder if Lenovo has like some type of partnership with Games Planet. Um, so you constantly see the deals pop up, right? And it's like constantly trying to get you to purchase using that kind of stuff. You can also do like Android gaming and all this other stuff. I haven't really tinkered around with that, because I'm not gonna tinker with Android gaming on this when I've got the Razer Edge, which Razer sent to me, and that's what I've been using so much lately. I've actually gotten more use out of my Razer Edge and my PlayStation Portal than the Legion Go because I've had so many issues. But coming back to that, Legion Space is absolute trash. This is the worst overlays like software that I've used on a portable game PC. I can't really comment on like the Ioneo stuff because I've never used any of those, but from what I've personally been testing from the major players, this is the worst one. Um, I would say personally, just like not use it. Because here's the thing: every time you turn on your Legion Go and you press the button, and this is if it actually wants to launch. Because there can be times you can press the Legion button or the Legion Space button and it won't launch. Same thing with the TDP button. Won't come on. Like you can be pressing it multiple times and it just won't launch. Um, but when you do get Legion Space to launch, there is a loading screen because it has to load for whatever reason. It has to load and it will load. And then once it's done loading, it plays the boot animation. And then you can go into Legion Space and do all the stuff you want to do there. Not a fan. I really don't. I hate that software. The TDP setting butting, the fact that half the time doesn't work. So there'll be times when you are trying to play a game and you want to change your screen resolution. Say you want to drop it from 2K, you want to drop it down to 1080 or 1200 rather, not 1080, 1920 by 1200. You want to drop it to that, or you want to drop to 720p or 800p technically. Um, yeah, half the times it won't launch, and sometimes when it does, it screws up the software or the game you're playing. It'll do this weird like distortion, and your screen it'll either go too big or too small. One of the two. Absolutely hate it. Um, that's another thing too. Certain games when you launch them, the aspect ratio is going to be completely off because a lot of them are not built, or not that they're not built, but they're not really prepped for running at the resolution that it has. So some of them will launch in these weird configurations. Like I was trying to launch Samurai Showdown and KOF multiple times, and like I could not get the aspect ratio to go full screen. Sometimes when I go full screen, it would go like only like this overblown image, and it's weird. And sometimes I would have to like quit the application, especially if I went in the game and started changing the settings for the video. It was an absolute nightmare. Other things you can change with the TDP button when it decides it wants to work is you can change your TDP settings. You can change your refresh rate. You can do all kinds of custom things. You can have your frame counters and all the data statistics that the real enthusiasts care about. I don't personally care about all that, but you might. And so it makes it a little bit difficult when that button doesn't want to run. You know. Um, Especially when the refresh rate is locked at 1440, well, not 1440, 144 hertz. And if you want to take it down to 60, you have to have a power supply near you. You have to plug it in, right? It does come in as, the brick that it comes with, or if you've got, power bricks or whatever laying around, you have to plug it in first before you can change or drop the refresh rate. Otherwise, you can just go into Windows settings if you don't have a power brick with you, and just change it there. All in all, and I know a lot of people have said like the software is a deal breaker and all that. I will admit I had to factory reset mine. I had to do an up. So Windows cumulative updates bricked a lot of stuff on my Legion Go. So when I got it, I literally spent 2.5 days doing updates only to have to factory reset and then do updates again to get it to actually start functioning properly. Then I get to a point where with the cumulative update, it for whatever reason removed the AMD Adrenalin software and I couldn't use it, period. And I couldn't download it and couldn't install it, couldn't do anything. So I had to factory reset it again to get that to work. And yeah, I've run through more hoops with this than I have. And that's not to say I haven't have to do like a factory reset on my up here. Not to say I haven't had to do this on the ROG Ally, because I have had to do it on the Ally. But not back to back as soon as I got it. That's the thing. It blows me away that I've had to run into that type of, issues with it over and over. So yeah. um again, again, I will say some people have said that this is a deal breaker. I will say that it's not a deal breaker for me, because we've seen software be buggy and broken when a lot of devices first launch. If it's still in the same state that it is in, if it's that okay, let me rephrase that. If the state of the software has not improved or is still staying where it is now within like the next month and a half, 2 months, three, at most 6 months, the halfway marker of a year, you have reason to be concerned. But unlike Asus, Lenovo has open communication with us, the people who have, well, those of y'all who purchased it. I purchased one. I mean, yeah, this one got sent to me, but I did purchase one which apparently got lost, and Best Buy can't find it and hasn't replaced it. Um, but at least Lenovo is out there actually trying to keep you abreast as to what's going on with the software, what they're going to do with the updates and all this other stuff. So I have confidence in Lenovo and their open lines of communication, whereas like Asus is just mum's the word. They're quiet. They're not saying anything. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt to say that, hey, yeah, they threw a lot of stuff at the wall to see what stuck. A lot of things don't work, but over time things will get better. And also because Legion space and a lot of the software is so baked into having that running. Like I said, the FPS mode, sometimes you gotta have M3 and M4 just not working. So there's that. Um Outside of that, gaming on it, when I'm not running into any issues, pretty good. Performance wise, I would say that it's probably a slight peg below the ROG Ally. Even though they both got the Rising Extreme Z1 chips, pretty much everything else is the same between the two. It's the only reason I would say that the Ally runs better is it's been out longer and they've had more time to optimize the software, Windows updates, everything else. So that's that. But as a whole, when it's running, when I can get it to run, beautiful screen, games feel great except for fighting games and 2D platformers. I'm hoping we can get like buy additional like Joy-Cons, and they have one that has like modularity where you can like put a disc, just something better for the D-pad. That's my biggest thing. I'm so disappointed. Oh yeah, the other thing, the case. I need to talk about this. Unlike the Ally, this actually comes with the case. So, I like it. Very premium quality, screams the Steam Deck case in many ways. And what I like too is if you want to charge your Legion Go, got a little flap there. So you can plug it in, charge it, make sure you've got it turned off or, completely like not using it because you don't want it to overheat. That's a very premium case though. I really like this. All in all though, oh yeah, FPS mode. You get the little disc, put it in, magnetic, boom, boom, there you go. I tell you, I'm kind of all over the place. There's just so much to talk about with this thing. But all in all, should you buy this or should you buy the ROG Ally or should you buy the Steam Deck OLED or any of the million plus that INEO drops every year. And I'm honestly gonna, you might be surprised at me saying this, but I'm honestly gonna say that this is the better buy, ultimately. It's a better buy. The dual USB-C ports, the fact that the communication lines are better, um, easier to upgrade the internal storage. You won't need to finagle with like all the L-shaped adapters and everything you have to with the Ally. And I think if you can get around the D-pad and the jank software, you got a solid device in your hands. Give them some time. It's a work of art. It's a work of art that's in process. It's not quite there yet, but I think it's ultimately the best buy. You know, you're not limited to Steam or having to tinker and finagle, which is one of the reasons why I don't use or have a Steam Deck anymore. And you don't have to worry about it frying your SD card because it stays cool, unlike the ROG Ally. You just have to deal with a worse D-pad and really bad software. But ultimately, great device. I recommend it, especially if you can get the 1 TB one, because that 1 TB of space helps substantially. But all that being said, what do you guys think of the Lenovo Legion Go? Is this a device that you have currently? Are you looking at potentially picking it up? Do you like if you currently have it, do you love it? Do you hate it? Have you returned it? Are you buying another one for your significant other, or for another room in your house? What are your thoughts? Let me hear it in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, sub to the channel if you haven't already, ding the notification bell, all that good stuff that you already know. And other than that, I want to give a special thank you to Lenovo for sending me over reviewing it. First time I've ever worked with them. Amazing team of people I've been able to talk to. And very open, and literally they're open to criticism. They're open to constructive feedback, and just allowing me to be honest, which is something that I value when it comes to working with any company, you know, um, and I'm just very grateful for them, you know. So yeah, this is a beginning of a very good partnership with them. But other than that, yeah, thank them for sending. I'm very grateful to them for sending this over to me, and yeah, we're gonna do a lot of videos on this. I'm gonna do comparison videos between this and the other devices out there. I'm gonna do podcast episodes dedicated to this. I mean, this might ultimately be a podcast episode. Has all the potential to be that, and yeah, that's all I gotta say here. If you want to pick one of these up, I have links, affiliate links down in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment and pinned to the YouTube video with the YouTube's new functionality. And yeah, if you really love the content you want to support what we do, consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. And yeah, got nothing else. I'm talked out. I've actually run my throat dry, and I just got over being sick. I had a very, very bad virus and was in and out of urgent care, but now I'm back. So all that being said, hope you guys had a great one. Stay safe, be blessed, have aloha, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.